So let's take a look at a more complicated example of using an enumeration in Java. So in this case, we are going to examine some of the class properties of an enumeration. We are basically going to use an enumeration like a class in order to basically couple some data with enumeration. So if you look at our example here, we had created our color cartridge and we have a color cartridge that is of type blue. We had created a switch statement before in our first example, and that switch statement was basically mapping some text to the type. So for blue we had the text blue, for red we had the text red, and really what we are having to do here was have the switch statement in our main method here, and it really belongs with the enumeration. And in a lot of programming languages you can't put that data together. You have to have a map somewhere else, a switch statement in our code like we did, or some way of associating the enumeration with the data that belongs with that enumeration. And so that really becomes difficult to do because it is hard to identify from the enumeration where the data that goes with it goes. And so a class, if you remember, really is a way that you can assign data and methods together. And so we are going to go ahead and emulate that with an enumeration. So I'm going to go into our color cartridge class and we are going to change this so that the text that is going to be printed for the cartridge is going to be associated with the cartridge itself. So in our color cartridge we have these types, and we can actually add a constructor to an enumeration. So I will do this now by using a private constructor. Enumeration constructors have to be private because you can't call them from outside. Otherwise you would be able to create more types. So we will do color cartridge, and then we will have it take in a string that is going to be the color text. And we can use a shortcut here in Eclipse. If I hold Ctrl and hit 1, it is going to make this kind of auto suggestion feature come up, and I can click assign parameter to new field here, and you can see it saved me quite a bit of typing. What it did was it saw that I was using a constructor, so it took this constructor parameter and it made a variable for it and assign it. It makes it really easy to add constructors or add variables to constructors. So now you can see that it is causing all of my enumeration types to have a problem. And the problem is that now that we have this constructor to find, they need to call this constructor. And the way you make them call a constructor is you basically just do the call right after the declaration. So in this case, for red, we can put in red. For blue, we can put in blue, and so on. So now you can see we are actually associating this data with the enumerated type, and it's going to be stored in that enumeration, and we can actually access that data. So for example, we are going to make a method on this enumeration that is going to allow us to return back the text of the color. So I'm going to go ahead and put this method though on our iCartridge interface so that we can use it in our printer class. So I'm going to make a public method that returns a string, call it printColor. And you can see that we will have to implement this on our color cartridge. I'm going to hit Ctrl+1 again in Eclipse in order to get this automatic assistant to show up. And then I'm going to add an implemented methods, and it already creates this stub for me. It saves me some time. So now in this printColor, we are just going to simply return the color text. So what this will do here is, for the red instance, if we had a red color cartridge, it is going to return the text red, or blue, it will return blue, and so forth. And we could have actually added more things to this constructor if we wanted to. Whatever data we want associated with enumeration, we can associate right here, because an enumeration is a full-fledged class in Java, and we can have methods just like we have here that can be called on the enumerated type, which is again a lot different than a lot of programming languages like C++, C, or C#, where an enumeration really does not have the ability to have methods or any data associated with it. And for black and white cartridge, we will need to implement a method also. Since we are not really going to use it in this example, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it as the default.